Hello everyone, welcome back to Genuine Chit Chat, the podcast where we help you grow through what you go through. Today I'm here with Bradley, who through his teenage years faced quite a difficult time, and from that he had a whole soul spiritual awakening. And in this episode we're going to find out about his journey and everything he's learned through this process and how he's living such a happy, positive life now. So yeah, let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome back. Bradley, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. How have you been? I mean, to give people some reference, I went to school with Bradley for sixth form. No, you went to St Andrews, didn't you? Oh my God. We were in the same year group, but different schools, and we sort of grew up in our secondary school life at the parties, all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. So, because obviously you've got a story to tell, which is why you're on here.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the start of the journey. What was life like when you left school, when you were about 17? Because I reckon you're such a different person now to what you were back then.
Yeah, I was planning to get a job at Microsoft.
Oh, really?
And I was doing some work experience for Microsoft, and it happened to be that I collaborated on a national project
Oh, really?
for Microsoft schools. Working with Minecraft and the BBC.
Way. That's cool. Did you used to play Minecraft?
I did quite a lot. Yeah. I actually used to do content on YouTube.
No way. Oh my God. Is that what sold you to that job, doing that then?
Yeah. And also really wanting to see if I could get a job in tech as well. But my affinity to playing Minecraft and learning all about Minecraft and being fascinated by the game when I was younger, and something that I really enjoyed, helped so much in working on this project.
Yeah, I bet.
And it was such an interesting opportunity, and I managed to go to the headquarters of both Paddington and Reading, and I managed to get insider access into some of the different departments, which was really interesting. And I managed to get sneak peeks into augmented reality glasses and which
cool.
is mixed reality.
All the VR stuff? Is that what it is?
That and that was the Oculus that was coming about back then, but then also mixed reality, which is something that is very futuristic, which is glasses. They're the smart glasses.
Oh yeah,
glasses that can project images onto the screen, but then you can be basically in this room at the same time.
Wow, that's quite cool. So cool.
Yeah.
So what happened then? Did you go through with that, or?
So I didn't actually manage to get a job with Microsoft because I went for an internship instead of an apprenticeship.
Right. Oh,
I didn't plan to go to university, and it was one of the things where, it wasn't meant to be, and this made me go through a deep emotional period where I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I kind of put all my eggs in one basket at the same time. And even the second year of sixth form, I coasted, and I was questioning life as well at that point.
You feel a bit lost.
Yeah, and I was also, which I feel is a big part of this episode, is talking about my experience with plant medicines and working with cannabis and psychedelics. And actually I was delving into working with them more recreationally when I was younger with my peers. And this was something that I feel enlightened me into different things, but also was at the detriment to my life on some level. And especially second year of school, did I find that I was kind of disassociating to life in such a way that I didn't really connect with the school and connect with what I was learning. And this actually made me feel a certain way about even going into corporate world and learning more about life in such a way that I didn't really then feel wanting to do anything at the time. So it kind of made me a bit more depressed, and there was episodes of that when I was younger as well that I feel it exacerbated even more by having these periods where I would be going into states where I'd be smoking so much that I would be disassociating from myself, which is quite interesting.
And it was sort of bringing it back up again.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier as well, you felt a bit lonely. Do you think you started to feel lonely because you were putting yourself in this state where you were feeling depressed, so you were kind of sort of taking a step back away from socializing or going out and just kind of getting in your own hole? Yeah,
that's it. And I was spending so much time by myself and not socializing, going out and speaking to people. And there were periods of my teenage years that I felt like weighed quite a lot on me in feelings, like especially in my social life, and feeling a bit different to my peers. Slight level of like bullying that I was experiencing, but I also feel these actually were powerful initiations for me, like activations, catalysts to my growth. Like I feel these were things that like everyone goes through some level of like feelings when they're younger,
of course.
and that can either break someone or it can make something of someone. And I feel I took to it in a way. Like there were parts of feeling this moment of darkness, these moments of darkness, and feeling like I needed to be alone, and also felt alone, but also I needed to use that opportunity to grow. And that's ultimately what started to happen. I started to feel that I needed to use that as a catalyst to grow and to forgive myself, to move on from any feelings of guilt or shame or feelings of depression, and then actually using that as a way to catalyze my growth in my life. So
that's great. But that's so great you've done that, because I think it's quite rare for people to actually have that mindset where they're like, right, I need to make a change. And how long were you in that sort of depressive state before you decided, all right, I'm sick of this, I don't want to be going through this anymore? Like what point did you think, okay, I'm going to make a change and get out of this?
So it was actually around 2020 when I was with my friends from school, and I was actually delving into like magic mushrooms at the time, so psychedelics, and I actually had a very enlightening experience where I had like this thing called a heroic dose, which is like you go over a threshold where you kind of like have this ego death. It was what it's coined in let's say the psychedelic like world. And what then I had was this connection to nature that was profound, and connection to life that was so profound that really awoke me to more of like the metaphysical side, the energetic side to life, and connecting to like my third eye and connecting to more of the energetic self. And this then made me really question reality on such a level that I was like, I can't actually avoid this anymore. Like it was so apparent. And it was like the moment of being depressed, it was like, okay, now you can express yourself on such a level that you can be more creative. And I felt that that was ultimately what was coming through. And then also feeling a connection to like trees and plants and animals, and like tapping into this psychic energy that I actually didn't know existed, but I had glimpses of it when I was younger, and that's what I was reminded of. It was like
what was that glimpse from you were younger then?
So as a child, I was very connected with my nan, and like we would have this like sixth sense together. Like there was something where we would interact with like this TV and like in like this old analog TV, and be able to turn on the TV with our hands, like on such a level. Like when my granddad would be repairing the TV, we would joke around like and like playing with our hands to actually like turn on the TV. And then there was this energy that I had with like my family, and actually knowing more about it to this day is actually like I've got a saint that in my family from my Irish lineage. And she became a saint back in like the 1800s. It's something that actually is connected to me ancestrally. And the more I connected with my Irish lineage, the more I understood that actually this is something that is integrally part of who I am.
Wow.
Which is quite interesting. And she's called Catherine McAuley. So she's from Ireland, and it's something that I'm beginning to learn more about. And it's something that I feel it has been an integrally part of like this connection to being psychic, but it's also innately part of who we are. And when I then started to then interact with my peers being psychic, did I actually start to realize that this was me all along, but I just didn't realize it.
It's like you hadn't flipped the switch.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was numb to that sense. It was like I didn't know it was there. And also I feel there are things in our environment that actually can make us feel numb without even realizing it, like vaccines, toxins from the food that we eat, pollution in our environment can actually numb our sixth sense, innate abilities within ourselves to like connect to our energetic centers. which is really quite interesting when you begin to understand it. Like when you begin to actually eat well, eat healthily,
And it makes such a
exercise.
difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like you
Wow.
begin to tap into the energy of the body. And this is what I began to realize. And then I also called upon guidance. So at the time I was like, my friends were interacting with more darker energy, and I didn't quite resonate with them. And I began to like feel a certain way, and also I wasn't feeling my best, and I was like, I feel like I needed to step away from these people. And so I was working as a lifeguard at the time, and I one day I called upon a guide. I called upon a mentor, and the way I called upon it, I called upon a guardian, and like the highest benevolent beings, divine forces. I just called upon something. Like,
What? So you were just sitting like, were you just on your own, or was it while you were working?
yeah, it was when I woke up. I had a very like interesting dream that was kind of nightmarish one night, and I was like, enough is enough. I'm gonna call upon guidance. And so what then happened was I then a week later met my mentor, who then awoke me to more of this psychic sense ability, and also connecting me more to like this thing called Reiki, and which is essentially intuitive energy healing, and then also like connecting to understand more about the world that we live in.
It's honestly, it's such a different world that I think it's not spoken about enough. And there is a high majority of the population that when they hear people speaking about it, they think they're just insane. They'll nickname them like hippie weirdos, but it's because that's just not the norm that people know about, but it does exist.
Yeah.
So when you say you met your mentor, where did this mentor come from?
Well, he was at my gym at the time, and he actually came back from traveling Southeast Asia, and he just came into my life, and he's someone that I work with today, and we've known each other now for like over 8 years.
Wow.
So it's really quite interesting, like how everything's like come to be. Yeah, it was around like 2018, 2020, like that period was when I then started to connect to him, and then also then came about with like understanding more about like Reiki, and understanding about like angelics, and like
That's so. Can you do master Reiki then?
So back in 2019, through me then learning about like energy, like through my friend, he was like, I think you should gain a certificate to actually like, like in the world, like confirm that you actually know how to do energy healing. And that's what I did. I basically, in the space of like 4 months, became a Reiki master in London.
Oh, do you know what? That's so amazing. I really want to do that because my nan was a Reiki master.
Cool.
And I remember she had a cat when we were growing up. And if her cat was a bit unsettled, she'd do Reiki on her cat and the cat would just fall asleep.
Oh, really?
And she can't do it anymore. But my nan out of my family is definitely the spiritual one. I think I've definitely picked that up from her because I'm very into, like, I've got angel numbers on me. Like, I'm very into that and crystals and everything like that. And I think that I definitely want to do a Reiki course because I reckon I definitely have something in me that I'd be able to do that.
Cool. Nice.
So what happened then after you'd done that course?
So when I became a master in London, sounds interesting to say that, sensei master. Yeah, but I wouldn't actually say like I was a master because I knew nothing. Like it's always good to be humble in knowing that there's more to learn always.
Yeah, of course.
And it felt like an ocean came over me. Like it felt like an ocean of like overwhelmingness came over me when I learned Reiki, and it actually exacerbated more of the fear that I had when I was smoking cannabis, that I actually became paranoid when I smoked cannabis. And this level of fear was existing when I was younger, and actually was something that I feel like came through my relationship with my family and my father, and also like connecting to like even like it's like ancestral. I mean, fear is something that exists throughout the world, and it's something that actually really suppresses one in the world to actually express himself fully. And that actually is where I begin to feel the weight of the world more so when I learned Reiki, because I actually thought I could heal the world with this new profound awareness. And actually I then began to like really take on actually a lot of like darker energy, because I was thinking I could heal everyone and speak to everyone about this knowledge. And it wasn't something that was wise, and actually began to feel, like paranoid more so, and then began to feel suicidal, which was quite interesting. Yeah. So yeah.
Bless you. That's really hard.
Yeah.
So I'm so sorry to hear that. That's a horrible
okay.
sort of phase to go through. So what was it that got you through that, where there was a lot of pressure, you felt like it was too much for your body and your mind to handle? What was your next steps to then get over that and get through that?
Well, I'm
tough.
open to share that, like, I was actually hospitalized twice, 2 different times in the space of like a few months. I actually like inflicted wounds on myself, like being suicidal, and they were pretty serious injuries, and it's something that, you know, I still carry to this day, and it's still something that, you know, has like impacted my life on some level, and especially my family as well, like what I experienced, because it's one of the things that I felt like I could do things by myself. Even though I had this mentor in my life, I felt that I could go away and do things myself and think that I thought I knew it all at that time. And so this was something that really then humbled me, but then also was a powerful activation in my life, because that's actually what led me to actually go on my own journey to then connect with like ayahuasca. Because I heard about it years ago through a banned TED talk from this guy called Graham Hancock, talking about his experience with DMT and ayahuasca, this sacred plant medicine that can help people to release trauma, release feelings of grief, help people to process these emotions. And I felt like this was something that I needed to do. And so after coming out of hospital the second time, I was like, enough is enough. And I flew out like a week and a half later to a retreat in Spain. Yeah, by myself. And
by yourself? I mean, surely your family and friends, like, what are you doing?
My
Like, they must have been terrified if you were
yeah,
then flying out on your own.
Yeah, but it was something that I was like, I booked it without them knowing, and I was like, look, I just need to do this. Like, this is something that has been calling me. And
yeah, did you feel like you were being called to do it?
Yeah.
Like, did you feel like there was someone there sort of guiding you to go that way?
Yeah, it happened years ago though as well. Like when I was learning about Reiki, did I connect to that wisdom, and then I was like, right, I actually need to go and do this. And then I just took the decision to go do it. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's so courageous as well to make that decision to actually go and do it. And obviously what looks like your life's completely turned around, and it would be so different if you never made that decision.
Yeah.
So what happened when you got there then?
So this retreat in Spain is a really interesting retreat. It's actually a world-renowned retreat called On My. And the first ceremony was one where actually I tried to escape the ceremony. And
really?
It was one of the things that actually was like part of me that was not wanting to be there. And it wasn't, and it's interesting. I was like, okay, why am I here? Like, actually, what am I doing here? Like, because what came up was like everything, like, because I was alone in that moment, I felt, because ayahuasca is one of those things that you connect on a micro level to yourself, but also you connect with the world. Okay. And you begin to start connecting to the world, like on a level where you begin to remote view, which is this way of like, you can actually see through your third eye, like the world as a globe, and begin to like see it on a level. This is my experience anyway. Like I began to really expand my awareness and begin to see like connections to the plants and connection to life, and beginning to understand like distractions that exist in our world, and also like understanding like what actually happened up to the moment when I was feeling a certain way. And it was a scary experience, but it also was one that was like, do I either see this as a scary experience or something that can actually strengthen me?
Of course.
So it's that polarity, and you get tested in these experiences where the medicine will show you the polarity of feeling like you need to escape, but then also shows you the reality of like connecting to your heart and the power of doing that, and the power that exists in yourself, which is like your sovereignty, your like connection to all of existence, which is like your heart is like that point that connects you to everything.
Yeah.
So, and that's where love comes in. When you then emit that love, that embodiment of love, will you then feel the force that's around you, and it begins to like, that's your aura ultimately, and then you begin to connect to everyone in the space, and then also the world, which is quite interesting.
So that's honestly, like, hearing that, I'm like taking it in. I'm like, that's actually crazy. So when you say you sort of saw through your third eye, was that through like a meditation? Was that after you took the medicine? Like, what was the whole process? Like, how did you, like, can you explain like how you saw it? Because I guess it's quite hard to sort of explain to someone that has no idea.
Okay, so like remote viewing, like, is being able to say, like, if I was to say to you, like, think of looking at your front door right now. You can do so like that, because it's like it's an everyday thing that you do. You walk through your front door. So that whole idea is like, that's remote viewing, and you can get so good at it when you train yourself that you can actually see like things, and you can see, like, that's when people get like visions, when people start to like see into experiences that are happening in the world, like if someone was talking about them. That resonance is there because everyone has their own energetic signature. And so when you connect with your third eye, it's something that can be achieved. Like, so if most people close their eyes, most likely they're going to be like, I just see darkness. Like, why is that? But they're not actually activating the third eye, which takes time. And actually part of what is happening in the world right now, and has existed for some time, is the calcification of the third eye, which happens through fluoride in our water and different toxins that exist, which basically means that like the toothpaste that you use, like Colgate, has fluoride in it. And fluoride actually is something that actually calcifies the third eye.
Sorry, what does calcify mean?
So like blocks it, like hardens it.
Okay, right.
So actually this pineal gland is, which is your third eye, is actually in your brain, and is where the center of your third eye is. And it's something that you have to like train and begin to like decalcify through like eating well, through like detoxification, through like taking saunas. Saunas are really good. Some people from different regions of the world might not have had exposure to different things. So it's like, it's only in the West do I know that like this is actually a thing. And it's something that I had to realize and start to like integrate into my life, like removing fluoride from my toothpaste. And they do sell toothpaste in like Holland and Barrett, where it would be not like fluoride free toothpaste.
So what then happened after that, after you sort of went through that experience of opening your third eye and like feeling connected? What then went from there?
So after my week of experience with my first ever ayahuasca retreat, I felt like I needed to go to South America. And I had this inclination, because when I was speaking to the facilitators, they were indigenous trained, but they weren't actually indigenous people. And I then began to hear people talk online about how work with indigenous people, you actually connect more to the essence of the medicine. And this is something that I then planted the seed within myself, and I was like, I need to do this. And so I essentially then connected with people in the UK who were connected to indigenous tribes in South America a few weeks later. And it was something that just through synchronicity that I began to become aware of people's connections to these tribes. And so I then met this really lovely lady who has done incredible work with indigenous people, who was a bridge for me to connect to Brazil. And she has her own retreat center in Rio de Janeiro in the mountains.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you went there?
Yeah. And
I bet that was an experience.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was there for 3 months. I didn't plan to be there for 3 months. And during that time, I attended a number of ceremonies and doing at least one every week, and also attending this thing called the Sun Dance, which is like a native Lakota tribe, a North American tribe that has these rituals that essentially is part of their like tradition that allows one to connect to like nature, and they call it Great Spirit. And so you begin to connect with this medicine wheel, this circle of people that are very serious about the work of and protecting that wisdom and that awareness. And there was so many profound experiences that I had. Wow. And it was a beautiful location as well. And it's something that they also invite people all over the world to come to. But it's a very expensive retreat, and it's something that only through my connection with this person was I able to attend it on such a level that I did. So yeah, it was nice.
So when you're speaking about medicine, are you taking the medicine while you're there, and what is that medicine?
Yeah, so there's a number of different medicines that you take. So the one that is ayahuasca would be ayahuasca that is a brew that's made, and it's actually made in the indigenous tribes villages, and then it's like then taken to the retreat centers, and it's a thing that's heavily like protected in Brazil. It's one of the things that they really honor their indigenous roots, their connection to the Amazon rainforest. There's tobacco, which you can take it in many ways. So you can either smoke it or you can have it like snorted up your nose.
Oh, really?
Which is quite an interesting thing to do. Yeah.
Did you do that?
Yeah, many times. And it's something that actually one has to be very careful doing it, because it's one of those things that is very similar to one if they were to do cocaine, which I've never done, but it's something that
you'd get like addicted to it.
Yeah. People that have been addicted to cocaine, when they then step into the spiritual world,
they'd get addicted to
they
that.
get addicted to hape, it's called.
Yeah.
Tobacco, yeah.
So these medicines you're taking, does it give you a high? Like, is it similar to taking like recreational drugs?
I've never taken recreational drugs, so I don't know. But it's well, I mean, cannabis is like in our society today is a recreational drug, but what you would say is like cocaine or ecstasy. I've never taken these things, and I'm honest about that. And I'm very grateful that I haven't, but it's one of those things that I understand that would give me greater awareness of. But I just don't think it's wise. For anyone who's young, like I don't think it's wise. So you do get a high, especially from the nicotine that comes from tobacco. But there is an interesting high that comes from doing ayahuasca that is connecting to the element of DMT that's found within ayahuasca. So DMT is an active chemical that's actually released in our brains when we're born, when we have a near-death experience, when we die. DMT is actually released. So it's quite an interesting thing to research into, DMT, called the spirit molecule, and there are interesting books to read upon it, and there's even documentaries as well about it. And it's something where when you do meditate and you do like breath work, you can also actively release DMT. And DMT is beginning to come to the forefront in our world today as something that when people, like I know my friend is a breathwork teacher, and she talks about like we are drugs, but it's in the way of what she says, it's like it's in us. You don't need to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I connect more to that. The more I step away from working with these plant medicines, which I have been doing now for like the last year, which is like been more integration. And so we'll get onto that. But in regards to like these ceremonies, there's one that I actually did recently, which is called Kambo, but it's something that I've done even when I was in Brazil many years ago and have done since. Is essentially frog poison, but it sounds interesting when I say it like that. But it's like this thing that is applied to your body through like these dots, and I even got it on my arm. Like I'll show you.
Have you?
Yeah. If I can show you. Yeah, it's like these dots. Yeah. So like a shaman or a facilitator will like burn like a little bit of your skin.
Yeah.
And like expose a little bit of like your skin. Not too deep. It's just surface level. It can heal very easily. And then this frog poison is applied to your skin, and it's excreted from a frog that's found in the jungle. And it happens to be that this frog, which is called Kambo, is a very sacred natural vaccine to actually eliminate toxins from the body and actually heal parts of your body and surface any like emotions. And actually it's a very interesting thing that when you do take it, you do purge. It's a natural thing that you do purge, and it's part of the practice of doing it. But it's one of those things that you only would purge, like, this will get interesting for your podcast, but bile and like water that's in your body. But you won't purge any food or anything that you've had the night before, and it's recommended to fast when you do it. And it's one of those things that it's actually a really interesting thing, because it's one of those practices and medicines that taps into your nervous system and connects to like deeper parts of your body that you've been holding onto for some time. So like I was so one of my profound experiences I had when I was at this retreat called Akasha in Brazil was doing Kambo in the morning, and I was guided the night before to do Kambo because I saw like this black stuff in my stomach, and it was something that came through my third eye. It was like there's this black stuff, and the medicine said to me, you need to do Kambo tomorrow morning with whoever's doing it, and for you to release this. And then when I did do it, I then purged out this black stuff on the floor. I kid you not. It's really interesting. And what then came through was the sign of like BP and, you know, like pollution. And that's what came through in that I've accumulated over time. And it was something that through me doing so much of the medicine, did it then start to accumulate even more into a place that then I can throw up. Like, and so that was my awareness of it. But it's also, there are things that like we would consume in everyday life. Like if one was to consume these hard drugs that are known within our society today, it's a great way to actually detoxify yourself of them. And actually in ceremonies, I've smelt like battery acid and these things that like are known to be found within these, within these drugs.
That's mental.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Yeah.
That is so, it's honestly just so interesting hearing like your whole story, because it's like a whole different world. It's insane. Yeah. And it's nice to have you on here to like explain it to people, because I think not a lot of people hear from people like yourself that's actually been through it. And it's just, I'm finding it so fascinating. Yeah. And so when you went through that, what was like the biggest lesson you took from all of this? And was that like the end, or did you carry on after that?
Yeah, so I carried on more so. And I then was, because I connected so deeply with them, I assisted with like charity events, like workshops, and like fundraising for them in for their communities. And since then I actually have stepped away a little bit from it as well, but I did carry on for a little bit. But the real lessons of it is learning that actually when you connect with nature and their intelligence, which we can only do by just stepping out in nature, like with our bare feet.
I love doing that on the grass.
And eating well, eating cleanly, and exercising, getting some fresh air. Will you feel better? But the deeper side, which is what I knew through working with these people, did I begin to understand that actually what we know of with the modern society today, with prescriptions, that there's like endless amounts of prescriptions for every single symptom that is known to man. When one is prescribed prescriptions, like it's a very controversial subject, and it's something that I'm very aware to be very careful with how I talk about these things. But it's one of those things, when I did listen to the elders talk, they were like, everything that you need to heal, the root of, is found within nature. And most of the prescriptions that one is given in society today is actually the plant extracted and then synthesized by a lab into then this product that is then sold across the counter to you to then treat a symptom, but actually then not treat the root cause of what is actually affecting you. And so it's really interesting when you begin to learn about this, and then it's really getting in tune with the body and knowing how intelligent the body is. And actually life can be simplified if you ask different questions. You begin to ask question, why am I doing this? Why am I eating this? Why am I doing certain things? And I began to ask so many questions in these 10-hour plus ceremonies. I've done so many. So it's really interesting, but you are tested so much in these experiences, and it sometimes can get dark. It's the polarity of life, the good and bad forces that exist. But it's to know that like I'm someone who embodies light and love and peace and calmness, and I am more positive than ever now.
Wow,
so it's something that I've taken on this quality, and I embody more of this, and I want more of this in the world.
I completely agree with you on that. I mean, this is why the podcast is all about positivity, because you definitely need it.
Absolutely.
And do you know what question I have? So obviously you're connected with that sort of, you have more connection with that sort of world because you're connected with nature.
Yeah.
Is that because, like you said, you had a saint in your family, you've got that connection with that world, so it's sort of easy for you to access? Can everyone access that, or is there just certain people that have been put on this earth to sort of make that connection, if you know what I mean?
I mean, I had an affinity when I was younger to enjoy playing outside But then went through a period where I played a lot of games, and that really distracted me on that path. I mean, I was a really talented football player and someone that like I feel like I could have made it with this new awareness of like the mentality that one needs to actually make it in whatever they want to do, you know, to achieve greatness. And it's quite interesting that episode is 23, you know, like achieving greatness and being able to be like Michael Jordan or really excelling.
So to give people reference to that, so this is episode number 23. And when I told Bradley when he came in, 23 was his football shirt number. And also that's David Beckham's and who else did you just say? Michael Jordan. Yeah. And it's like this whole number is about achieving greatness. And here's Bradley on this episode for number 23, speaking about this greatness you've achieved in yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is just, do you know what? I just think I feel like you, with this whole like spirituality, I feel like there are always signs out there. And it's only when you sort of recognize them that you see that they're there. Because when I was going through everything that I went through a couple of years ago, I just kept seeing 222 everywhere. Nice. And like that was my number and that is now my number. Nice. And it's like I think a lot more people need to learn that you can connect.
Absolutely. And it's not weird or crazy. It's actually fascinating and interesting and beautiful, because actually like when I began to connect with these spaces, I found that there are a lot of like women in these spaces that have experienced trauma, abuse, and it's something that really, really like fascinated me and interested me to the point where I wanted to learn more about the feminine. And actually ayahuasca is called Mother Ayahuasca. And
like Mother Nature,
Mother Earth, Gaia. And so when you begin to connect with that, it's like I was so intrigued by the feminine, and I begin to understand more about the female energy and what that ultimately entails, and like how fertile Mother Earth is to life. Like I'm alive because of Mother Earth, you know, and it's beautiful. And Mother Earth like is a being, you know. I call her Mother Earth, but like Earth is a being. And it's something that we've, as a society, growing up in the concrete jungle as it is in the cities and in life, like we actually are disconnected to like that force that exists. And when you connect with these, well, it's just part of the constructs, the structures that exist. Like how as a civilization we've transitioned into this phase, which we're out. I feel like we're coming out of. Like, it's in the age of Aquarius now. We're coming out of this phase where we were, and we're in this phase now where, like, you know, the subject of mental health is coming more about. And I mean, these are interesting like themes, but it's also there are deeper sides to life, but it's those are like stepping stones in the right direction. You know, when one is asking like, why am I feeling angry, or why am I feeling sad? You know, when they ask these questions, we begin to then actually uncover more to life, and you begin to see actually it's all mental. It's all and like there's so much more to life.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's funny you say that, because my last guest, I had an anxiety coach on who suffered for like 15 years.
Yeah, that's good.
And she said
podcast.
the most of the we suffer with this anxiety, and we think that's just a problem, but it's not. Like, you have to ask why. Like, why am I feeling like that? Why do I get worried about going to busy places? What is that actual root cause that is causing that? You have to unlock it.
Absolutely.
And do you know what, a really interesting question? Obviously, you've got such a connection and can sort of see through your third eye. Is there more to life after death? Like, Absolutely. Is there an afterlife?
Yeah.
Really? Can you explain a bit about that?
I'm aware of people on this podcast who are tuning in are religious. I grew up being religious, so I went through it all in my Catholic religion from my family. The Catholic religion believes that like God is external to us, like it's something that we have to pray to. You know, God will save us. Jesus will save us when we die. But actually, God is innately you. Like, we are innately all interconnected to God. And so when you understand that God essentially, like, we can all connect to Christ consciousness, Christ's essence. So when you realize that, you then take your power back, because then you realize that God is not something that's outside of you. God is you. So when you realize that you are the creator of your experience, which God innately is, the creator of this experience, you then co-create your experience with each other. And you begin to then rebalance this idea that has been in our world, which is of codependency. And you become interdependent with each other. So you become interconnected, intertwined, like one. And that's how you co-create a utopian world. Because then you realize that every single person on this planet is alive to complete this universe, to complete this life, to make you, to make it whole. You know, you exist because you exist. You know, energy can never be created or destroyed. And it's like that. And the idea is like, is the fundamental, is like the foundations to understanding the existential, like, understanding of life. But then it's also to connect to knowing that there are different dimensions that exist. We live in the third dimensional reality, 3D, but then our emotions and our mind exist in another dimension, which is why, like, when you tap into emotion and you understand the etymology to emotion, energy in motion, energy, emotion. So it's like, okay, energy in motion. So then how can I, even though we're separate, how can I still feel your energy? It's because there is this thing called, in science, dark matter, but actually it's just the energy that is abundant in all of life. So when you become more connected to yourself through eating well, through exercising, you begin to become more sensitive. And people innately are sensitive, but it's something that if you have been susceptible to toxins in your environment, can you then actually like become more sensitive and more aware? And it's a skill you need to train as well. It's something that is like our sixth sense, which is connecting to this thing called the ether, and you're connecting to like the astral. And so it is possible to have a conscious death, and you can do so through plant medicines. You can also do so through breath work. You can also do so through meditation. And it's something that's known within ancient cultures and even societies that exist today. And the conscious death is to realize that you can die before you actually die, like in how we know it. And so in Egyptian times, they actually dedicated and devoted the whole life to understanding life after death. And it's known because they would weigh the heart to a feather. And if your heart is heavier than the feather, then you have a lot of karma. So it's understanding that you need to be light like a feather. So light emotion.
Light as a feather. Is that where that comes from then, that phrase?
Yeah. So when you are light, you are happy, you are joyous, you are positive. And you start to, when you begin to understand that, you start to then realize, okay, people that are depressed or sad or down, whereas if you're light, you're happy, you're joyous,
you're higher, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's that.
From all these lessons you've learned, you mentioned you work with medicines now, like plant medicines. Well, so what's that about?
Like only in like places where I can. So like in South America, or like I'm very conscious of these in our world, and so I recommend people to look into. And there's so much information on it. There's actually a really interesting series on Netflix that one can watch, which is understanding like all about these medicines. This guy, Michael Pollock, he actually talks about LSD and like ecstasy and MDMA being used within different works. And now it's being used in clinical work. And so I don't really look at that. I more look at like side of like psychedelics and like how even the use of like cannabis. But then I've got an interesting inclination to cannabis. Like it's one of those things that the stuff that's sold on the market, which is known within our world, is like heavily pesticides, herbicides, lots of toxins. The way it's grown under artificial light is not good.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was connecting with the indigenous people, they grow under like natural sunlight. It's grown out in nature, and it's different process entirely. And so you get an entirely different experience. And so I'd really be mindful about where you source these. I'm not someone who like would recommend them, but I'm someone who is like an advocate for someone to actually like to do them on such a level where I believe that they can enlighten one on such a level that will be profound. But it's important that you do it in the right environment. And I always known, like always would say this is like the most incredible experiences I had were in environments where I really felt I could trust these people, these facilitators, these shamans. And that's where like you will begin to go deeper. Like how in my case for a female partner, when they begin to trust you, they begin to deepen their love for you, deepen their connection to you. And it's a natural process. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, if you didn't have those mushrooms that first time, you never would have unlocked that in the first place, which is
it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And towards the end, I just want to ask you a question. If you sort of could give advice to the younger version of you, or someone that could be in that position you were in, what is one thing you'd want to say to them?
Keep faith, stay strong, ask for support. And when you ask and you're ready, like the teacher will appear. And that's ultimately what I would say, because it's something that at times I felt really alone. And there were times where I needed to be by myself alone. And it was a lesson for me to be alone. And even to this day, there's been periods even in the last few years where I thought I needed someone in my life, and that attachment to needing someone was actually unhealthy. And so, yes, there are periods of darkness and suffering that one goes through, but one must understand that suffering is only resistance to what is. And it's an interesting and controversial subject because suffering is innately part of life throughout the ecosystem that exists. But it's something that when one awakens to God, source, intelligence, which is my connection to like the higher intelligence, which is God, source, oneness, that state of divinity, that innate truth of consciousness, of love, is liberated and free from suffering. So I trust that this podcast can actually bring light to this in one's life, and actually can put someone on a trajectory that is positive, that is good, that is knowing that like what I've experienced, even though we've only just brushed upon it a little bit, is to actually condense it all down into one podcast. It's very hard.
I reckon we'd be sat here chatting for like a whole day about it easily.
Part 2.
It's not a bad idea, to be fair.
I wouldn't mind doing that. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to talk about. And so it's like one of those things where like know that I'm actually here to support you as well. And actually I'm going through this process where I'm learning to be a coach, and I've got multiple mentors in my life and multiple guides, and learning how to balance like being human but also being like a being, and like human being, balancing that, because it's important to be balanced, to be grounded. And when you are balanced and grounded, will you be able to stand upright, stand strong, stand proud of yourself, be in such a level of awareness that you can be ultimately authentic yourself, creative, most expressive, most loving, of service. Because in our world now, it's important that one really carries himself in such a way that they can be grounded and balanced, because it's far too often that we see people who are unstable, and I was in that state, and I know what that is all about. So, and experiencing this within my family, and knowing that actually you are, even though you might not realize it, you have such an impact on your like life, your reality. It's of service to others, but it's also of service to yourself, because it's remembering that you are infinite.
You're here for a reason.
But you also are like, it's interesting, like what is here, here is now in this moment, but also is like is a very complex thing to understand. Like here is still, here is now, but also here is infinite. Like when you connect to the moment of stillness, which is that feeling of being at ease, being calm, being centered, being present, being mindful, when you're in that stillness, that center point, which is ultimately what one must achieve. Because when one is afraid, they're scattered, they're like everywhere, that you can feel it within someone. They're like everywhere, they're unstable. So the art is to do less, and in doing less you do more, because then you actually are in your center more. You're balanced, and then you can be of greater impact. You have greater force in your life. You have greater intention, and you're then more intentional to life because you actually are able to see more clearly. You are more aware.
Yeah, and I guess your energies, you've got a higher energy, so you're going to be attracting more.
Yeah.
That's going to suit you for what you want.
Yeah, so that's all about alignment.
Yeah.
This is what I'm implying is being in your center is you're aligning to your center. And so when one might feel like, especially if one is overwhelmed within their life, you know, they've been through trauma, or they've been through something, and this is what integration is all about. Like taking time to slow down, to really look after yourself, to take that bath, to meditate, to like speak to your friend, to light that candle, to make notes, journal, to do yoga, and to be at your own pace within moderation is essential in assisting one in their growth to actually be the best version of themselves. Alignment is actually a powerful thing to realize because everything is frequency. Emotion is frequency. You look at it on a spectrum, anger and joy. There are different polarities, right? So everything is frequency. And so one must remember that when you think of energy and frequency in your life, you begin to, and it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. You have to take your time with these things. And this is what one must do in this state of spiritual awakening and soul awakening is actually learning these things. And there's a reason why they're not taught in our world, because when one realizes these things, these secrets, which are becoming less of secrets because one can actually realize these things through just deep contemplation and guidance with people that actually really know what they're talking about, will then one actually be in more of alignment to benevolent synchronistic, which means good synchronistic opportunities, like miraculous experiences. So this is my message. This is my purpose, to know that actually the state at which Jesus was a miracle to people who were unaware is ultimately the state that you can embody to then actually be that in life, which it's a process.
Yeah, of course, it's not going to be overnight, is it?
No.
You just got to connect.
So
to that deepness.
it's so I trust that this essence of what I share on this podcast ultimately is what one can embody, and I know this to be true, and this is the truth that I am learning and integrating more and applying to my life more and more, balancing that human force of being a human being.
Yeah, well, honestly, Bradley, I'm so happy for you that you're in this situation now. Like from hearing your journey, I feel like you've literally done a whole 360, like literally. And I'm so happy for you to get through that and be in this positive state now. And I love that you're sharing this positivity, because we need more of that in this world for sure. And obviously, I think this episode for some people might be quite hard to understand. You'll need to listen to it for a few times. The more you do, the more it will make sense. Because I think if you're not really connected in that way, it's quite hard to understand. But I think you've explained it well. And like it's just about taking time to actually listen and sort of try and work through it yourself, like everyone listening. And at the end of the episode, I like to ask my guests one task you would give to the listener now that would make them feel good after listening to this.
Okay, so one of the things that always stood with me is connecting to nature, and getting out in nature is essential, because when you get out in nature, well, you realize that nature has this underlying frequency that is of fertile energy, and it's something that allows you to really reconnect with yourself. And it becomes this more of like, especially when you like, when I hug my dog, for example, he's a beautiful dog, and when I hug him, he's got this energy that like he's been grounding his whole day, and it's like, you know, to be able to hug him is really lovely. And then to also then do that myself, like connecting barefoot, like you also shared, is something that when we do that, we begin to actually like rebalance ourselves energetically. And the more you do it, the more you will feel happier. 100%. And so part of me in my idea of where I want to live in the future is like more in the suburbs, which is ultimately, I'm grateful for living outside of London. And where I was in Cambodia was in this place called Siem Reap, where the famous Angkor Wat is. And I have a partner out in Cambodia who lives in the capital, and I don't connect with the capital. I don't resonate with the capital. I understand why people live there and want to be there, but I don't truly connect with the capital, and I want to be in a place where I can truly connect with nature. And I advocate more of that, and to know actually the world's not overpopulated. There's actually a lot of space on planet Earth for all of us, and the world is not needing to there's enough of us, and also there's also like more capacity for growth and expansion. And this lie that's told that we need to be all in these cities is
we don't.
No.
And that's why majority of the people in the cities are grumpy, sad, down, whereas the ones more connected to nature. Because like, it's so true. Like if you're in a bad mood, go for a walk. By the time you come back from the walk, you're going to feel so much better because you're hearing the birds tweeting. That's my favorite thing. Or just like, I think it's hard to go and sit in like a park or your garden barefoot, just lay there with the birds tweeting and then be in a bad mood. Like I get that feeling of feeling connected and grounded.
Absolutely.
And I can feel myself when I feel ungrounded, because I feel really off, like balanced, and it's horrible. So I think, great piece of advice. Everyone just go and connect with nature, because some people think, oh no, that sounds weird, but it's not. It's not. It's, you're like unleashing that happiness within you by doing that. So
and you'll see the beauty in nature as well, and it's a reflection of you. And when you begin to like interact with nature on such a level where you begin to become more playful, childlike in nature, like going for runs or like running barefoot in the forest, like it's one of the things that
you would do that as a child.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you begin to become more animated and more joyous, and also the sun is a very powerful energy force that actually, like, one of the things I would like to say is like, please be mindful about sunscreen. Like one of the things that I would say is like, for me, like obviously we have to be very careful how we are in the sun, but like one of the things with sunscreen, it can be a bit of a toxin to our body, especially the stuff that's sold in supermarkets. So the sun is actually a powerful energy force, and we can really balance the cells in our body through the food that we eat. And there's more to this. This is why I was like part 2. But on that subject, it's like the energy of the sun is so powerful that when you are out in the sun, will you feel so much better. You might feel that you need to have a nap that day if you aren't in the sun, but when you get out in the sun, you'll feel so much better.
Lifted up.
Absolutely, you'll feel your best self. And the sun is a very powerful thing. It's one of those things that is, it's an energy source. And so when we begin to see like the sun as energy, and the way in which we are receivers to energy, and we also are emitting light ourselves, there's a very interesting thing that happens when that happens.
It's just crazy, isn't it, how everything's so connected like that? It is just, it's mind-blowing. And last part of the episode, what is a good song that you love that makes you instantly feel happy? So
there's an interesting song. I was thinking of many songs. I love to listen to music, and I'm someone that also produces my own music.
Oh, really?
I had some songs on Spotify that I no longer have. I'm going through this like phase of like refining my sound and stuff.
Wow, that's cool.
Like making like drum and bass and house music. It's really interesting. And so what I would recommend is this album by this guy called Manish Damore, which is something you can link in the description. And there's a song on the album that has a very special connection to me and my guide, but also connecting to the divine. And it's called Nas Alturas, and it's a meditation song, but it's something that will lead you to really connect deeper with yourself, and it really uplifts me whenever I hear it. Really? It's something that there's a tone to it.
There's no better feeling than that, is there?
It's really beautiful music, and the sonics to it, like the sounds to it, is some of the like the most well produced music I've ever heard, especially if you turn it up loud on the speakers. Like it's really,
it's like you can feel it.
It's beautiful music, like it's powerful sonics.
Amazing. Well, I'll link that in the description of this episode. Cool. But thank you so much for coming on. I've really appreciated it, and sharing all your knowledge, your positivity, and I'm super proud of yourself as well for getting through this and sort of going down this pathway of life. And your younger self will be thanking you so much as well.
Lots of inner child healing.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. It's an honour to have you here as well.
And I wish you the best of luck with the rest of your podcast and how things unfold. And I really see great things happening for what you're doing and what you're sharing with the world, this positivity. You only attract more of that, and I really believe that. And I'm really grateful to see you and be in connection with you. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Well, I wish all the best of your path going on as well. That's so sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you so much for listening, guys. We will catch you next time. Bye.